Hello there. Welcome to vlog number 4 for easing anxiety. Today we're going to catch up on a couple things, maybe share a comment or two, and talk about avoidance and if that's an effective management tool for anxiety. Hello there. My name is Dee, and this is Easing Anxiety. If you like what we do, please subscribe and click on the notifications button so you can be alerted when new videos are available. Thanks for joining us. Hello there, this is Dee. As you, I think, heard. I think I say that in the intro too, but there it is. I'm a little giddy for right now. I don't know why. I just had lunch. My wife made this knockoff recipe from a steakhouse or something. It's like ranch chicken or something, and oh my God, it's good. I was going to record this morning, but I got behind, and I started to record, but it wasn't going well, and so I'm back. So just had lunch, and now I'm here to talk with you. Hopefully everybody's doing okay. And I'll slow down here for a sec. But I hope you're okay. I hope this finds you well. I hope you're finding positive things to focus on, things to be grateful for, things to remember about how great the world really is, because it is. There's a lot of great stuff. Despite the negative things going on, there's always positive things going on. So I hope you can see those and focus on them. Oh, I did want to mention, I was going to say this before the comment, but I wanted to say thank you. On Sunday, Easing Anxiety reached 100 subscribers. Now, I realize in the world of YouTube, that may not seem like a lot, but I'm really excited because that is a huge first goal for this channel. To reach 100 subscribers, that was my first goal, was to try to get up there. Now, I'm not trying to judge our channel at all by metrics. I kind of got caught doing that at the beginnings of the Benzo Free podcast, in I think judging myself a little bit based off of our Facebook stuff, and it didn't work well, and I redirected and learned from it. But still, I do realize that the more subscribers and the more people we have paying attention to our channel, then the more people will get our videos, and hopefully find them helpful. So I just want to say thanks to all those who have subscribed, to all those who watch these videos, to all those who have shared these with other people they know. That's a huge thing. That really helps. I just want to say thank you. It's pretty cool to reach 100 subscribers, and I think Mike even wrote in, Mike from Way of Kung Fu, I mentioned him before, he wrote in and said, congratulations on 100 subscribers. So thank you, Mike, for piping in on that too. I really appreciate it. But it's a milestone, and it's cool, and now we just go from there. So thanks to everyone. I appreciate it. Today I wanted to talk about avoidance, and I have a few notes here. I'm going to try to keep this a little light, not too deep, because it's kind of a deep topic, and I don't want to hang out there all the time. But this came up, and I wanted to say there's another comment that I had, and it's not one I can share because it was private. People do email me or send me direct comments. And by the way, on comments, I do want to let you know that, of course, you can always comment on the YouTube channel, and that is huge and a big help. You can comment on our Facebook page too, but I have gotten the Easing Anxieties email up and running. So I'm still finishing up the website. Hopefully a week or two I'll have that out, but the email's up and running. So you can now email me directly for Easing Anxiety at feedback@easinganxiety.com. So that's our feedback email channel. Just send that to me and it will come right to me. And we can start a dialogue, or correspond, or whatever. So I wanted to say that. But I did get a comment on Benzo Free about avoidance. And this relates a little bit to the podcast, but this is actually about anxiety, so that's why I'm mentioning it here. Excuse me. I had lunch not too long ago, so I apologize for that. I'll try to keep things quiet. But in the last podcast, which I think I released on Monday, it was about anger. And because a lot of people who go through anti-anxiety drug withdrawal deal with anger, it's a common side effect or common symptom of withdrawal. And I mentioned, I think it was 7 quick tips or something, and one of those of helping you manage your anxiety, manage your anger during that time. And one of the ones I mentioned was avoid possible triggers, I think, or avoiding anger triggers or whatever. And I had a couple people respond to that, and one person wrote back who I think was a therapist, and she said that um, avoidance is not really a good long-term tool for and it was very professional, very nice. No, no, and I like that kind of criticism. I like people to challenge me and to tell me when they think maybe this isn't the right thing. And the thing is, I totally agree with what she said. And I thought it was a topic to talk about here because avoidance is something that every one of us uses to help manage our anxiety. It's just innate. Um, I've talked before about I have a moderate fear of heights. It's not extreme, it's not mild, but it's moderate. But I'm going to avoid positions or places where I'm going to be near a ledge or I'm going to be way up, where the ground is way down. I'm not going to do a lot of hot air ballooning or standing next to ledges or parasailing or anything like that. The same goes for social phobias or fear there. People are going to avoid crowds because this is a problem. People are going to avoid topics of discussion or ideas that conflict with theirs and make them anxious. We all do some form of avoidance for our anxiety. It's normal. But she brings up a great topic. Is avoidance a good tool? And this is where I have to agree with her. No, it really isn't. Not in the long term and not for managing your mental health. And I'm not going on a limb and saying this because this is just my idea, although everything on this channel is my opinion, as I mentioned. And as I've said before, I am not a medical professional, and this is not medical advice. I'm not a counselor, nothing. It's just my opinion. Where was I? I just paused for a second because I had a little cough and took a drink of water and came back and go, back to where we were. I don't remember. We were talking avoidance, and avoidance is not a long-term solution. I think I mentioned that. Pardon me if I'm repetitive here. But it's not. It's not a long-term solution for managing anxiety because we learn from being in positions that challenge us. That's human nature. We do that during childhood. If we are challenged by certain difficult situations, we grow, we learn. And we don't stop doing that when we're an adult. We still can learn. We still learn. Maybe not as quickly as we did when we were children. That was nice. But we still learn as we get older. On the Benzo Free podcast, I had mentioned it as one of the tips for managing anger for one reason. Many people who go through anti-anxiety, dependence, and withdrawal are in a very difficult mental state, okay? Very fearful, may have a lot of pain, a lot of discomfort, may have lost hope. Some are suicidal, some have become violent. It's an extreme experience for some people. So when I threw avoidance out there as a tip or a tool, and I did mention it was short-term only in that, I did that because if it helps that person get through this difficult moment, then they can work on the long-term goals after, like exposure therapy and that kind of stuff to help to loosen then the triggers and the fears of the anxiety-inducing topics or situations or, that cliff edge that I don't want to get too close to. But it's interesting because something else I do on the podcast is when I share benzo stories, and these benzo stories that I share on the podcast are of people going through withdrawal, and some of them are extremely difficult to hear. They are very difficult stories to listen to. I will also sometimes now put a trigger warning. That was something that was asked of me along the way, and now I will do that with stories that I think are more on the edge of ones that could trigger people. Now, I'm not a huge fan of trigger warnings. I'm just saying that. But I do think certain situations, maybe they're needed. And maybe I use a different term for it. I don't know. But in that state of mind, in the extreme state of mind that some of us, and myself included, face, I felt like for short term, avoidance was an okay solution to get you through the difficult times. But again, not a counselor. This is not advice. I'm just giving you my opinion. But it made me think about the whole idea of avoidance and anxiety. because this is something that we do often, or at least I do. My God. And I'm bringing this up because I think I might be one of the guiltiest people of this out there. Those of you who have seen this channel and have listened to the podcast know that I avoid news, and I still do. And I had for a long time, because during my withdrawal, it was very difficult for me to be triggered by news. Certain issues were hot for me and were very hard for me to accept. And when you're going through extremes like anti-anxiety drug withdrawal, you don't have the breaks. You can't calm yourself like the average person. We've lost that ability. And this isn't just something that's developed psychologically over time. This is also a physiological problem, a physiological, I don't know what the term I'm looking for, but I'm sure you can insert a really good technical term there. But we no longer have the brakes. We no longer have the mechanisms to calm us down. And so what happens is we get triggered and we stay there and we obsess, and it keeps getting worse and worse and worse. And I was really good at this. So I avoided for a long time, and it helped. It helped me short term to get through it, but now it's gone on too long. And I need to start expanding that a little bit. I need to start finding better ways of managing. And I think a lot of us do that. At some point, that bubble, that box that we've created, and this goes for anybody dealing with anxiety, chronic anxiety, whatever, our world can get small, especially if you have agoraphobia or some of the social phobias, or you're afraid to, be outside, or you're afraid to leave your home. That box, that bubble gets really small. It's not a great way to live. But you did, or you do what you needed to at the time to get through. I'm not blaming anybody, and it's nobody's fault. But at some point, and we've talked about this many times on the different channels, you want to live again, and you want to get out there, and you want to be okay with things that challenge you. You want to be okay with situations that are on the edge. You want to be okay with ideas and thoughts that may not be ones that you would normally be okay with. That's one of my issues. And you want to find ways of processing those in a healthy manner and noticing the distortions that our thinking does. And that's why I often talk about like CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. That's a great one. I'm a believer in counseling because a lot of counseling methodologies have been proven to be effective. CBT has been proven to be as effective as anti-anxiety medication for treating anxiety in several studies. And I think even more so because it doesn't come with the side effects or the dependence or the drawn out, for some of us, multi-year recovery. So that's kind of a benefit to the counseling side, I think. But it's interesting because it also takes work. And I don't want to do the work. Sometimes I know most of us don't want to do the work. This is not something that gets fixed overnight. Plus, if it includes like exposure therapy, well, then you're being pushed into situations that are uncomfortable. And who wants to be uncomfortable? But what if counseling or CBT or exposure therapy or something like that, although difficult in the near term, opened up your life wide after in the long term, actually made things so much better so you could get back out in the world and be part of things. I've seen this before, even in myself, and even though I've stepped back a little bit with some of my protectionism of my own psyche, I realized actually just this morning through another book I've been listening to that it's time for me to challenge myself again and get back out there. And I decided that the thing I want to do is to get back into CBT, and I probably will go get some counseling. I'm going to start with books because that's where I start. I love books, and I have one. I have actually I have it next to me. I have David D. Burns' Feeling Good, the New Mood Therapy book. Great book. It's pretty thick and it can be a lot to read for people. There's probably other books that might be a little more user-friendly, but this still is one of the original ones and has a lot of information. It talks about the cognitive distortions. It talks about a lot of principles that are used in CBT and other different therapies. And it helps me sometimes. But I don't want to let my world continue to shrink. I've done enough of that. And I think it's time to stretch things out. And I know I've talked with a lot of people through this channel and through Benzo Free Podcast who are struggling with the same thing. And a lot of this stuff that goes on in our heads isn't even real. A lot of these things we get triggered by, a lot of these things that we try to avoid aren't real. And that's one of the things that these cognitive distortions, recognizing them is important. And David Burns mentions that in his book. And I did a little more research on them just because I thought it might be something interesting to talk about. So real briefly, I want to mention cognitive distortions. And these are things that our minds do. You know, we've talked before, and our minds perceive the world. And we never see the world exactly as it is. Never. We don't. What happens out there goes through our eyes, goes through our ears, goes through maybe touch, whatever other senses you're noticing, and then goes into our brain, and then gets processed, and goes through filters. And what we wind up perceiving is often very different than what really happened. And this has been shown in several studies. This is what human beings do. We have this thing called perception. We perceive things differently. And some of those are cognitive filters or cognitive distortions that pull our emotions in and make us feel like this is automatically bad, or this is automatically frightening, or this is automatically dangerous. I'm rambling on. The thing with this channel is I'm not fixed. I'm not cured. I'm not the expert. But I'm a very curious person. And I truly believe that life can be better, especially if I work at it. That's just something ingrained in me. I don't know why, but I do. And I'm not always good at it. And I fail, and I don't always put the work in, but I try. But I think our connection is going through this together. I'm not the doctorate of psychology. I'm not the psychiatrist. I'm not the person who had all this book learning. What I think we're providing here, or what we're trying to provide here, is a community of people who are dealing with anxiety, struggling with it, learning as we go, learning from each other, and finding out what may work, what may not work, finding comfort in each other's words, and finding a way to live a better life with our anxiety. That's really why we're here. That's why this channel's here. And, you know, since I am going to try to push my envelope a little more, I'm going to do it on this channel too. And we're going to talk about it. A lot of these videos, I think, except for that one vlog I was on the back patio, which isn't very far from home, I need to get out. I need to be exposed. I need to even face some of those issues that I don't deal with well. And talk to people and understand the other side of the story. Because I really believe there always is one. I don't know. I was a little lost lately. It's been a struggle lately. I think because I let go of some of the tools that got me here, and I wasn't practicing them as much. I think I've forgotten a little bit of my skills that I learned in counseling and through my reading. And I let things in the world get to me too much. The virus was a big start, and that messed things up. And we're having some struggles here at the house, and that doesn't help. And so all that stuff builds, and I've been feeling it. But today I'm doing better, and I'm starting to feel a little better. And I think one of the things that's making me feel better is I'm going to start working on getting better. I'm going to embrace CBT for a while and try that. And that's not the only solution. That's just one I'm going to try. For you, it might be something totally different. I'm going to go back to some basics. Try to notice my cognitive distortions. And I have all of them. Every one of those listed I have. And let me know if that's something you want to talk about. I would be happy to do an informational video on cognitive distortions or on CBT or on exposure, whatever. I'm happy to go do the research. I just don't know what you want or if that's something you want. Today I'm just touching on it and rambling a bit. But it's something that I think is important for us to pay attention to, because I think it's something that can help us. I really do. So we're going to get out there. We're going to do some videos in more challenging places for me, for you, for whoever. Talk to some people. We're going to, go out in places where I may not be as comfortable and get out of the house and that kind of stuff and push limits and find ways to responsibly and slowly learn that our anxiety doesn't have to control us. Learn that our emotions are just emotions. They're not right, they're not wrong, they're just emotions. And they're not going to kill us. They're not even going to injure us. They just feel bad sometimes, especially if you let them take over. I don't know. I'm rambling again because this is a vlog and that's what I do. On a happier note. Oh, what else is going on? I think that's it. I'm going to wrap this up, as I say, and I shouldn't say that because supposedly when I say I'm going to wrap this up is when everybody tunes out on YouTube and nobody stays on anymore. So I shouldn't say that, but I'm saying it anyway. I'm doing better. I hope you all are doing good. Please give me the feedback and the comments. They really do help. You can now email me at feedback@easinganxiety.com. I'll have a website up soon with some more resources there. I think it's exciting what's going on. I think the challenges we have can be exciting, and especially if we look at them that way, like these are good challenges to have. And to think about the life we could live once we learn to maybe not master, but manage our anxiety and our triggers and the things in life that bum us out. It'd be nice to figure that out. So for now, I just want to say thanks for watching. Be kind, be adventurous, and be at peace. I'll see you next time.